Can I steal this then?
All right, we'll go ahead and get started with Coach Quinn. Coach, why don't you open us up with just a quick statement?
Tough one. Thought that our group fought really hard. When you take a good team like Phoenix to an overtime game without your best player in a single elimination game, it's difficult. But I thought that our group fought really hard, and the effort and energy were there. Just couldn't kind of execute on a couple of possessions, but super proud of everyone in the locker room and what we've, how we got here and what we've accomplished this year.
Let's go ahead and open it up for questions. A question in person, just go ahead and raise your hand. I'll start with Jeff Brown.
Yeah, Coach, yesterday I talked to you about, as a coach, it's not just about the game to game, but also the development of players. We talked about Lou a bit, and today she has a career high 18 points, and I thought she really stepped up in Stewie's absence. And so just talk about Lou's performance out there.
Yeah, she's had a couple of career highs this year with us. And understanding that, I think specifically for Lou in this moment, she has not been on a playoff team. And understanding that her being here is good information for her and good experience for her. A little bit up and down throughout the season, but I thought at the end, she's shown up in some big games. And in particular today, again, it was just her energy and her effort. And hitting shots helps, but the other stuff that she provides, her activity was huge.
And then Sue, she only had 2 points in the first quarter, or maybe even 0. Finishes with 16, hits the clutch 3 at the end of regulation to essentially send the game into overtime. Just talk about Sue still doing it after all these years.
Sue's great. I've seen it as her teammate and now as her coach. She lives for these moments. She's built for these moments, and no matter what the season may bring, I trust that in those moments she's going to come through just because she has the clutch gene as well. It's in her DNA. I'm not even talking about the years in which she's played, but just the way in which she honors the game, working hard, being her mind for the game, and all these other things that come into the equation when you talk about her. It's just an honor to be a part of her journey.
Zita, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Coach. You only got 7 points in the overtime. Obviously, you would have liked to do more. And I know you haven't looked at the film, just from what you saw on the floor. Was anything they did or just shots not falling?
Shots not falling. I think about the chippies around the rim. Think about the looks that we got. Obviously, some fatigue. We had players playing big minutes, but it wasn't that the shot, it wasn't late shot clock. It wasn't shot clock violations. I think it was just kind of locking in and finishing those shots around the rim.
I'll go over to Percy Allen. Percy, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how difficult was that Brittany Griner matchup in the middle there? It seems like that was a big focus for you guys.
Brittany's tough. She's an elite player. She's an Olympian. She's one of the best centers in our game right now. And I think she's been tough all year. You throw a double team at her, you play her straight up. She's seen every type of defense, and I think she's adjusted really well. I thought we did a decent job. First forced her into some turnovers, 3 of them, got her hands on some balls. Tried to limit that. 23 and 16, it wasn't a 23 and 16 where you just felt like she was dominating everywhere, though she had her moments. I think it was kind of the others again that stepped up and hit shots and timely shots, but she's a load. She's tough to match up with.
Let's go to Erica Ayala.
Hey, Coach. We talked a little bit about your coaching journey yesterday. I know we're coming fresh off of this game, but I'm just curious if you can reflect on your time as a head coach and maybe what you think your process will be coming up next.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and I feel like it's been 2 years and it's only been a few months. It's an Olympic year. We had 2 babies. Shout out to Kiki. Shout out to baby Ruby. We've had so many things that coaching changed, so many things that have happened this year to where my inner being has been tested. Trying to find peace and still be productive, trying to find how to best serve my team and be a leader. And within this short amount of time, I've learned so much about myself, my resiliency, how I have to handle this aspect of it. But what I love most is that I'm still connected to the game, and the amazing ladies in the locker room make the journey that much more special.
Okay, we've only got about 5 more minutes with Coach, so we're going to take some Zoom questions. Go ahead, Haley, with our Zoom questions.
So we're going to start off with Zoom questions. First one from Chantel Jennings. Go ahead, Chantel.
Hey, Noelle, thank you for your time. I was just curious, you've played with Sue, you've coached her as an assistant, as a head coach. I'm just curious how you've seen her sort of evolve over the years in terms of like Coach Sue in those huddles or at halftime.
Man, I just always point back to 2018. She was like stretched in a way that to me, it brought out even more greatness in her. She's already great. But 2018, she was just a beast in what she did. And, big shot after big shot, big moment after big moment, coaching us in the locker room, on the court. Prior to that, being her teammate and understanding why she's so great. She's been so helpful. She's been a player coach for me on the court. And so that makes things a lot easier when you have a player of her caliber leading in a way, but also allowing me to lead in the way that I can lead. And I think this year was really good for me in terms of how to learn how to balance, coaching her. And she did it. She helped me so much, and just forever appreciative for how she's handled herself and welcomed me to this new role.
Thanks, Coach. Our next question is from Emma Adler.
Hey, Coach. I just wanted to ask about what the offensive adjustments were towards the end of the game. Shots weren't falling as well, and how you approached sort of when BT went off and Vaughn came on.
Yeah, we tried to get Lou in some space to move DT around without Stewie on the floor. When we hit droughts, just finding ways to get easier shots. And, you got to roll with Jewel making those decisions. I thought Sadie's and Ezzy had some good looks around the rim, but, in those droughts, you have to go to, your bread and butter and just kind of rely on it, make or miss for them to make plays. And, toward the end of that game, I thought we made some plays, but kind of struggled to score in that overtime. Some fatigue played a factor, but you live with putting the ball in the player's hands who has kind of carried you this year. And we relied on Jewel heavily, and Sue hit some big shots. So just shifting our offense to dictate that.
Thanks, Coach. Our next one is from Jeff Metcalf. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, Noelle, I wanted to ask you, with Taurasi coming into play today, she didn't play in the earlier game, the previous game. How much of a difference do you think she made, even playing at less than 100%?
I thought that Dee gives them automatic confidence, swag, all of the above, just by being on the floor. Early on, putting her and testing out her mobility, I thought we did a decent job. But what happens when you have the greatest player in our game on the floor is that she hits timely shots. So up until the point of the late game, she steps into a three. She hits like a one-legged baseline shot. So the overall impact is obviously the morale that the team has, but she's such a big shot taker and maker that even though we did a decent job on her at the beginning of the game, still you can't lose focus in the moments when she's on the floor. And that's just what she brings. She has clutch DNA as well, and she's been in so many moments. So, yeah.
Okay, we got time for one more question.
We'll take the last one here from Danny Thompson. Go ahead, Danny.
Coach Quinn, Danny Thompson with the three-point conversion. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. You mentioned that you were a teammate of Sue's, an assistant of Sue's, and then now, of course, her head coach. As she left the floor tonight, the fans were chanting, one more year, Sue, one more year, Sue. How do you kind of convince Sue to come back a year, or do you let her make a decision? How do you take that into account with the way the season ended today?
It's Sue's world. That's all I have to say, but it's her world. Whatever she wants to do, she's gonna do and will do, and we'll back her, whatever she decides.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time. We'll have our Storm players coming in here in just a moment.